And look at what they've been able to achieve as a result of taking that one single step. Today, there are no births of thalassemia major children in Cyprus at all. 16 to 17% of the population is thalassemia minor. The youngest thalassemia major child is something like 24 years old. Not a single birth in the last 24 years. Can we achieve what Cyprus achieved? Very difficult in India. Huge population, different communities, different castes, different creeds. People will come on the road and say, my fundamental rights, my religious rights. We want to tell youngsters, don't wait for it to become mandatory. Write it down on your foreheads. Come what may, I will do a blood test for thalassemia minor at the first opportunity. I will not bring a child with thalassemia major to this world. And what if I am a thalassemia minor? Nothing. If you look at all the people in this world and you divide them on the basis of thalassemia, you will find that there are three categories of people in this world with respect to thalassemia. Number one, thalassemia major. Nobody over here is a thalassemia major. If you were a thalassemia major, you would have been on blood transfusions from the time you were born. By the time you are 3 months to 1 year old, you come to know for sure that you are a thalassemia major. And from that time onwards, you are on blood transfusions forever. You don't need to do a test for thalassemia major. In the sense that sure you will come to the signs that there is something wrong with this child. And when you take the child to the doctor will finally do investigations and say, this child is a thalassemia major. Nobody over here is a thalassemia major. The second category is thalassemia minor. Anybody over here can be a thalassemia minor. 40 million Indians are thalassemia minor. If you are a thalassemia minor, you are a thalassemia minor from the time you were born. You will continue to be a thalassemia minor forever. You don't need to worry at all. You don't become a thalassemia major at all. You remain a thalassemia minor forever. It's a genetic status. The third category is normal with respect to thalassemia. 95% of the Indian population. You are born normal with respect to thalassemia. You will continue to be normal with respect to thalassemia. This status cannot change. And therefore, we come to a very interesting point in this entire thing. It means that the test needs to be done just once in one's lifetime. You know, we become very health conscious and we say, I must go for a checkup for cancer and HIV and diabetes and all these things. And almost every year, many people go and do a test. Let's say the reports come to me. I do a test and the reports come to me and it says everything is clear. Everything is clear as on that day. 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, I can get any ailment. I need to do the test periodically. But the test for thalassemia minor needs to be done just once in your lifetime. And because people don't do this test once in their lifetime, their child is subjected to a lifetime of misery. Therefore, thalassemia, really speaking, is about all these healthy youngsters who have not done a test for thalassemia minor. Now you wanted to know, what is this actually? What is this thalassemia? What is this thalassemia major? What happens to me? Thalassemia major is defined as a genetic blood disorder. Blood. Let's look at the blood part. In blood there are 4 components: RBCs, WBCs, platelets, plasma. Plasma का role क्या है? Plasma plays the role of carrying the oxygen, carrying all the nutrients to the various parts of the body. It is the carrier. It's the reason why the blood flows. Very, very important. Nothing to do with thalassemia. The second component is platelets. Platelets basically help in clotting of blood. Whenever I get a cut, I start bleeding. After some time, the bleeding stops. That's because the platelets go there and they form a mesh and they prevent any further loss of blood. Very important. Nothing to do with thalassemia. The third component is WBCs, white blood corpuscles, the defense mechanism of the body, the so-called soldier cells. Every time there is an attack from outside, virus, bacteria, whatever, the soldier cells swing into action and protect the body. Very important. Nothing to do with thalassemia. The last component, RBCs, red blood corpuscles. The reason the blood is red in color is because of the RBCs. The RBCs have a substance called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin plays the role of carrying the oxygen that we breathe to every part of the body. Hemoglobin is made up of heme and globin. Heme is iron and globin is a protein. Most women in India have got low hemoglobin. That's because the heme is low, the iron is low. And you can actually substitute that iron by taking iron-rich food and iron tonics and all those things and build the hemoglobin. The problem with thalassemia is that the globin is low. The globin is deficient. And therefore, hemoglobin cannot be formed. And therefore, the child is not able to carry the oxygen effectively to all parts of the body. And therefore, the only way the child will survive is by somebody else giving their hemoglobin to the child. By me donating blood, my hemoglobin goes into the body of the child. The child is able to carry the oxygen for the next so many days. It depletes to zero. A next person has to donate blood, a third person, a fourth person, lifelong. Therefore, if you look at this now, you understand that thalassemia major is a problem with globin, which is a protein, which is a part of hemoglobin, which is a part of the RBCs, which is a part of blood. But thalassemia is also defined as a genetic disorder. Now, most people understand genetic as something that is handed down by the parents. I'll try to be a little precise, not very accurate, but a little precise, and tell you, genetic means that for every function that the body performs, there are a pair of genes. One given by the mother, the other given by the father. Simplistically speaking, for my nose, there is a pair of genes. One given by my mother, the other given by my father. One of these two genes will dominate. And I acquire that trait of that parent. If my father's gene dominates for my nose, I acquire the trait from my father. For every physical characteristic of the body, there is this pair of genes. And for every function within the body also. Like for every physical characteristic, there is a pair of genes for the way globin is produced. One given by the mother, the other given by the father. If both these genes for globin are normal, you are considered to be normal with respect to thalassemia. 95% of the Indian population. If one of the genes is defective and the other is normal, meaning one parent is given the defective gene and the other parent is given the normal gene, in such a case, the normal gene always dominates. Such a person is called a thalassemia minor. He or she sails through life, doesn't even know that he or she is a thalassemia minor, and he has no problem. But now imagine a situation where one thalassemia minor marries another. I have got one good gene and one bad gene for globin. She has got one good gene and one bad gene. When we have children, I am going to pass on one gene, she is going to pass on one gene. What are the possibilities? One possibility is, I pass on the good gene, she passes on the good gene. I am a thalassemia minor, my wife is a thalassemia minor, my child is normal. Possible. Second possibility is, I pass on the good gene, she passes on the bad gene. Good, bad. The good will dominate. The child is a minor, has no problem at all. The third possibility is, bad, good. Again the good will dominate. Child has no problems. And the fourth possibility is, bad, bad. The child is not able to produce hemoglobin. The child will not be able to survive unless given hemoglobin from outside. And this is what I meant when I said that there's a 25% chance of your future child being a thalassemia major if the two of you are thalassemia minor. There is the good good, the good bad, the bad good, and the bad bad. Out of these four, the bad bad is the one that is dangerous. 25% chance. And that is what is determined when you do a prenatal test. Unfortunately, nobody knows about this. Children continue to be born thalassemia major. And then doctors concentrate on keeping them alive, giving them blood, giving them the iron chelation support, and many other things. The focus, really speaking, should be on prevention. On getting all youngsters tested. On telling them, thalassemia is not about that little girl only. The thalassemia is not about a little boy who needs blood. Thalassemia is about the healthy parents who did not know that they were thalassemia minor. If this message goes across, and if we're able to replicate the Cyprus example, we'll be saving a lot of money and a lot of trauma and misery and suffering for the parents and for society at large. So this is what I wanted to share with all of you. If you have any questions, you can ask for sure.
No question as such, but this thalassemia minor, normally when they are going for
a blood test,
routine blood test, they will never have an hemoglobin which is in the range of that normal 30-50. They will be always in the vicinity of 11 to 12. No matter what hematinic support the person takes, their hemoglobin level will never come in the normal range.
Thalassemia minor.
Thalassemia minor.
No, not true. Not true. There are a lot of thalassemia minors whose hemoglobin is more than 13, 14 also.
Is it?
Yeah. See, unfortunately, earlier what used to happen was, the route for determining somebody was thalassemia minor was that somebody is not feeling well. He goes to a doctor. The doctor advises blood tests. They do the blood test and they find that your hemoglobin is low. The doctor goes and tells him, I'm going to give you some medicines. You take these medicines for 1 month, at the end of which come back, we'll take another blood test and find. At the end of 1 month of taking medicines, this person who is not well, he comes to the doctor does a blood test again, finds that it is not working, no effect. Then he says, let me refer you to a hematologist or somebody like that. The hematologist immediately says, let's find out, is it iron deficiency, is it thalassemia minor, what is it? They do a test, maybe electrophoresis, maybe on an HPLC machine, and they say, you are a thalassemia minor. So as a result, what has happened is, all doctors think that thalassemia minors are people who have got low hemoglobin. Have they checked anybody who has got high hemoglobin? No. So today when we do blood donation drives in various colleges, we test the students who have donated blood also for thalassemia minor. Okay, and if you have been allowed to donate blood for anybody, if you are allowed to donate blood, your hemoglobin has to be more than 12.5 grams. Only then you are allowed to donate blood. So this person who's donated blood, his hemoglobin is surely more than 12.5 grams. When we do a screen for all people who have donated blood, we find a few people who are thalassemia minor amongst them also. So the important thing to note is, you cannot assume that because your hemoglobin is 13 grams and above, you cannot be a thalassemia minor. You can still be a thalassemia minor. And therefore we are trying to tell everybody, irrespective of your state of health, please do blood test for thalassemia minor. It's a misconception actually. There is a slightly higher chance of your hemoglobin being low if you are a thalassemia minor. But that doesn't mean that if your hemoglobin is high, you cannot be a thalassemia minor. You can still be a thalassemia minor.
How many percent?
Pardon?
Hemoglobin is high. How many percent?
Lots of them. There are enough people with high hemoglobin. See, earlier, what used to happen was, today, when
many times earlier they were detected this.
they were always detected that way because nobody was running a prevention program. If I run a prevention program and I catch hold of people whose hemoglobin is high, only then I will come to know, na? If I am testing only the people who have low hemoglobin, see what the doctor has done is, he has checked only those people whose hemoglobin was low. Has he checked anybody whose hemoglobin was high? So if he is checking only the people whose hemoglobin is low, then you will come to this conclusion only, na?
Now, one thing we can do,
no, in fact, see, the test is expensive, na? So therefore there is a question of who will bear the cost of the test. If you do the test anywhere outside, for thalassemia minor, it can cost you anywhere between 600 to 1200 rupees.
That's okay, that's one time.
I know, but you will, now that you know what the seriousness of the subject is, you will say, yes, I want to do the test. But if we go and tell the general public, you should do this test, nobody will be willing to pay 600 rupees. Unless you are able to impress upon them the seriousness of the exercise. Once, suppose they come here and attend this lecture, then they will say, yes, ek hi baar to karna hai. I have to just do this test once in my lifetime. Even if I have to pay 600 rupees, doesn't matter.